So, welcome everyone to a special video on marriage and what to expect in marriage, and a very practical, perfect remedy related to marriage. If and the thing is, don't think of these remedies as something that you will do externally. It's all internal, because once you understand the core of your birth chart, when you understand the hidden truth of your birth chart, you will see the majority of the problems that you face, that let's say you bring to me during readings. It's something that can you can solve by yourself. And the reason why I'm making this video, because like I told you in my YouTube short, that it's been a very unusual year, 2024. Not from all fronts, but especially in front of readings, relationship and marriage readings, because unbelievable amount that is especially coming from India is on divorces, separation, divorces, cheating, affairs, especially like divorces. Most of them were divorced, seeking a second marriage. I mean, it's amazing. I'll even tell you, some of these marriages don't even last 2 days. And the girl leaves the house. 1 week, 3 weeks. This is something that I would hear in like some reality show in US of the housewives or something. Well, this is like real life that is happening. So let's try to understand this. What do I mean by internalizing your remedy? A birth chart is given to you. It is destined for you. Okay? That means whatever you're getting, you're supposed to get. You cannot be focused on the fact that who is this person that came in my life? You're bad, you're wrong, you're out. You're bad, you're wrong, you must change. It's like you're telling, especially let's say a female is telling their Mars, change your position from 10th house to 9th house now, otherwise I'm leaving. And it's like Mars is just in meditation. It's like, you do whatever you want. I'm happy in my meditation in the 10th house. You must respect my mother. You must not create this issue and that issue, wife. Otherwise, you leave. And here's your Venus, let's say, sitting in the 6th house. Venus is like, go ahead, scream. I want to hear even a louder scream. Maybe then I'll change my mind and change my position. Oh, I didn't hear you. They're going to have fun with you. Why am I saying this? Once you know the truth of your chart, the truth sets you free. So for example, from, let's say, your Jupiter. We're going to use Jupiter here. This is Nadi. Right? I'm talking about this Nandi Nadi that I'm actually teaching right now on my course of Nandi Nadi on Magha Vedic Astrology Academy. It is the most brilliant, the most easiest, simple way of understanding everything in astrology. So for example, in a female's chart, and this is literally some of these live examples that I see on daily basis, from Jupiter, Mars is in the 10th house. Number one. Mars is conjunct Ketu. So from your Jupiter, wherever your Jupiter is, Mars is sitting in the 10th with Ketu. You are expecting the normal type of marriage that all your friend circle are going through. They will post pictures with their spouse on Facebook and Instagram. They're going on vacations. They're always just in each other's business. And you're like, yeah, I can't wait to get married as well. You get married. What is going to happen? If you understand this basic problem or position, not even a problem, it's a position, that from Jupiter, Mars is in the 10th. Jupiter is who? Jupiter is you. Jupiter is the Jiva Atma, the Jiva Karka, the living soul of the chart, the one who takes in oxygen. So who's taking oxygen right now? You. Whether you're male or female, it's you. So we're looking at, let's say, a female chart. Use Jupiter. From your perspective, you are only destined to get the husband who's gonna be not married to you, but married to their career. It's set in stone, done. Now you go do as many yagnas as you want. You wear $20 million gemstone. You correct the entire Vastu for $500,000 from the top Vastu scientist. This person is not going to change that destined thing. They're married to their work because they're 10th from Jupiter, which means you as the spouse cannot say, why are you working 14 hours a day, not spending time at home, not spending time with me? Our relationship is going down the drain. You leave home early, come home late. By the time you come, the dinner's cold. I'm sleeping. What kind of life is this? But now, before you say this, I am sorry, but you have to understand the truth of your chart. You are only destined to meet that man whose work is going to require them to be there for 14 hours, or their business is going to require so much attention that if they cut their time from 14 hours to 8 hours or 7 hours, the business will go down the drain or they will be fired or laid off. That's the very first truth you must accept, that this is my Mars. Whether, let's say, I'm single, okay, or I'm in a troubled marriage, realize that, okay, this position of Mars 10th from Jupiter is bringing me an individual in stones that they're going to be married to their work. That's the first thing. So now you accept it. It's not their fault. It is your chart that attracted that individual only. Number 2, what did I say? Ketu is with Mars. Now, you can cut their work down to 2 hours. Let's say you as a wife, you are from a multi-millionaire family. Like, don't worry, you don't need to work anymore. You stay home. I want you here near me. Okay, let's say you do that. But you have Ketu. Now what happens is, whomever you are with, and you can imagine, let's say you go back in past with all your lovers, your boyfriends, the one that is like, oh my God, I wish I had this person back in my life. They were the best. They could have been the best husband. Even if that person comes in, they will become completely detached from everything. They will become detached from the concept of marriage, wife, themselves, friends, social circles. They become aloof, they become introvert, they become a hermit. So even if they're in the same home with their Mars Ketu, they'll be locked in their room doing something. So now again you are frustrated. Why aren't you paying attention to me? What happened? You used to look at me like this. used to bring flowers for me when we first got married. Now you don't even ask me how I'm doing. So again, I ask, is this person really a bad person? This husband that you have? Or is it that you were destined to get a person who will become that? Because, like I said, go back in time. Let's say if I was Brahma and you came to me, you're like, give me this person, the best person in my life. I'm like, okay, I guarantee you, here's your perfect husband in life. But please remember one thing, even though I'm Brahma, I cannot change your birth chart. Go, bless, stay happy. So you come back with that perfect spouse, whether it was your first love that you still remember. What's going to happen? They themselves, even if they were absolutely social light, they become hermit, they become distant, they become disconnected from everything. So you cannot be blaming the individual and what your marriage is doing. You have, and you can even blame yourself, because we don't know nothing about our past. We always talk about our past lives, reincarnation. Until you yourself have gone in your past, you don't need to believe it, fine. But what you need to understand is that because of this given position, you cannot make a person change, number one, and blame them if they're not changing, number two. And number three, you cannot feel that it's universe way of hating you, or your own free will is really bad because you just don't tend to choose right people. Because because it's like, when you get off from the airplane and you go into a brand new country, what do? They give a stamp of approval, and that's it. And it's like a special stamp that can be put in a certain light, and you can see it's a actual authentic stamp. You can't change that stamp. That's the approved stamp to go into this country. Same thing, your soul came into this plane, went inside the womb, got a stamp. When it came out with these particular laws and rules according to your passport that you have to abide by. Meaning your passport only allows you to go into these particular region of the country, can only do this type of work, can only do these type of activity. Take it or leave it. It's the rules of the game. It's the rules of the country. So once you see this placement, you will see, like, for example, let's say in a man's chart, we'll take Jupiter. Okay. Venus goes into the 8th house. Venus goes into the 8th house. What happens? There is zero compatibility and zero connection of consciousness between you and your spouse. Completely different likes and dislikes, completely different chemical balance or imbalance, completely different way of approaching life. Like, for your wife thinks that your mentality becomes an obstacle in her progression as a wife, as a mother, as someone who wants to raise the family. And from your perspective, the wife is in oblivion. They have no clue about you. They're not paying attention to you. They're always busy in every other activity of life except you. And so now you're like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I want to get a divorce. You're the most horrible wife. But now you bring that particular thought process back into your consciousness. This is my stamp. This is my truth. Whether it's this wife or the best wife I could choose, it's going to happen. Like, even in Nandinadi, you will see, like, the first husband would be Mars, second would be Jupiter, third would be Saturn, First wife would be Venus, second wife would be Mercury, third wife would be Moon. Okay, but again, who is the Karka? They're all going to be abiding by the Karka planet, right? Nadi is all about Karkas. So no matter if you're like for example Elizabeth Taylor married to almost 8 people, I think, right? You can pretty much count every single planet as her spouse. But no, it is Mars. And if you look at that, Mars is sixth from Jupiter, hemmed between Saturn and Sun. So no matter how much she wants to be with that husband, for her, they end up becoming an obstacle in her life. They perhaps didn't want her to pursue some things, some movies, something where she was just being held back. And she's like, I'm not going to deal with this. Or actually, no, her Mars was eighth from Jupiter. So again, same thing. Yeah, it's eighth from Jupiter. So what happens is the honeymoon phase dries, the reality kicks in of the marriage, and boom, complete incompatibility happens. One has goals this way, the other has the goals that way. Where in marriage, you're supposed to go like this together. Go like this together. So once you know this, what do? You accept that, number one, that this is my position. I am going to have to deal with this. Number two, before you even get married to someone and knowing the truth of your chart from simplicity of the Nadi astrology, you ask that person, you sit them down at a coffee or some nice dinner. Listen, look at all this list I made. These are my shortcomings. Here, I bought a blank paper for you. Write me down all your shortcomings. And let's see if we can work with them, accept them, or would we want us to change certain things in here? Because if you're going to want me to change this thing, I would try my best, but 90% I will not be able to change these routines and these peccadillos that I have. And what happens is when you come to a conclusion, okay, I love going and playing poker with my friends on Friday. It's a group of our 6 people. We watch football games and we play poker. I just don't want you to feel like I am now taking something away from your life. So the wife will be like, listen, yes, of course you should go. Go every Friday. But what if one time I want to go out on some date or all that? Can we do that? I say, yeah, of course. Okay, so how about this? Let's sign this. We look at both of our shortcomings, and here's our agreement. This is our constitution. We'll frame it in a golden frame, put it on the wall. So next time when these things are creeping up, we know what is this. Because I will not be able to change the stamp that I have, and neither you can change the stamp in your chart. Forget about Gun Milan and, Dosh Milan, curses from D12 chart and this chart and that chart. Once you find this simple truth that you can see literally in 3-4 seconds in a chart, you know who you are, what you're going to get, and what you then cannot complain about. This is how this simple navigation of astrology becomes. For example, even let's say your Mars is in the 7th house from Jupiter. So this becomes, on one end, a great camaraderie, great understanding, but this is your opponent. They always will challenge you. They will always challenge you on your beliefs. They will always challenge you in games and this and that. So it's kind of like 2 brothers fighting in a game. Let's say a game of basketball, they're fighting. They even throw punches at each other. But at the end of the day, they're eating and laughing when they're watching the other game together at night. So you can't then say, why is it that my husband is always challenging my decisions and what I'm trying to say? Why are they always kind of up top me? I can't deal with this anymore. It's not them. They probably weren't even like this. But because they're married to you, it's that Mars in your horoscope that is now changing them. This is the mystical side of the occult. But also, it's not mystical side because that position is only bringing that person who will activate that perfectly. Whether you like that or not, they're there to play that role in your script. Your chart is your script. Now, in the very end, you can now think about, I wonder what I did in my past life. You know, I wonder what I did to one of my previous spouses or to this person for that to come in my life and always just challenge my authority. Maybe they were a boss and I was an employee, and I did things behind their back without their decision, and I was behaving like I was the owner or manager of the company. And this is why I made them go into losses. I got fired. But in due time of this ocean of Cosmo, we came together to work it out as husband and wife. So there's no need to seek a remedy of wearing a gemstone, doing puja, because you can do all of that. The only thing, like I said, even Brahma cannot change is that position of Mars that you have gotten, that actual degree that they have gotten. And once you are just accepting it, like, okay, my wife is not going to be doing any cooking, any house chores, nothing. They're going to be focused on their work. Why? Because my Venus is 10th from Jupiter and it's conjunct Saturn. So that's okay. She's a great person, works hard, loves me. Whatever time she can spend, she spends with the children and me, but she's focused on career. Great. How long will 40, 50 years will go by with this person? Like that. And then your plane will take off, their plane will take off. And if you are in a peaceful mode, there's no longer going to be that crossing, that dramatic crossing of the path. There's always going to be crossing. For example, even your mother and child will cross maybe as a cashier at some grocery store and you buying something from them, and you just get this hint, wow, this person is so motherly. I wish this person could be my mother. When you have these thoughts, you're just coming across for a few seconds because that karma was so well paid off. That's it. So at the end of the day, we're all one. That's it. So once you understand this, you can be the biggest winner in the game of marriage. And this is why, if you actually want to know this whole thing, you can go to krschannel.thinkific.com on my Maga Vedic Astrology Academy under Nandi Nadi course, and just learn that I've actually made specific 5-6 videos of Jupiter, Venus, Bhachakra, Jupiter, Mars, Bhachakra, meaning their position from them, to understand this particular game of marriage and compatibility without any of the noise that you may hear in the other end of the Vedic astrological spectrum. That will be ending you up in more confusion. That if this combination is present, well, now you look into the Navamsha, but then if this is present, then you want to confirm that in the Trim Samsa chart for marriage. Okay. So anyway, guys, hopefully this has given a very simple explanation of, the chess game of marriage. So anyway, if you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss these type of videos. So if you want to know where your Venus, Jupiter, and Mars are placed, all your astrological details. Check out the links here, vedicastrology.com, where you'll find my books, reports, consultations, and my academy link as well. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.